everyone. This is another episode of the Ask Amity Show. And today we want to talk about 3 estate planning considerations if you own rental property. So this is for anybody who has real estate, a real estate portfolio, or just another rental property, or even just own, actually if you just own your own property and you're thinking about renting out your property, or if you want to buy rental property. So some of the things you want to consider when you're thinking about real estate. Number 1 is make sure you have a trust. So that is probably one of the easiest things you can do when you become a real estate owner. When you start owning property, especially in California, properties are very expensive. They usually represent the biggest asset for most people. So it's really important that you properly fund your real estate into your trust. And the reason why you want to do this is because anything can happen. So anything can happen to you. If you hold property in your individual name, then if anything happens to you, basically there's nobody set up in order to manage the asset upon your passing or upon your incapacitation. So again, anything can happen, and you don't want to leave your most valuable asset, for most people, the biggest part of your asset vulnerable to either the probate process or to anything that could cause you ill or incapacitated. So you want to have a trust set up in order for you to appoint a trustee, to have that trustee take over in the event that you become incapacitated, or if you pass, then your trustee can step in and can manage the asset, can manage the rental property, and distribute it per the terms of your trust. So it's really important to make sure that your rental property is in your trust at the very least.
Yeah, and the second consideration to think about and plan for is protecting your assets. So asset protection. What if someone gets injured on your rental property? How are you going to protect yourself from lawsuits? If there's a dispute between you and the tenant and they sue you, how are you going to protect yourself against that? So a really good way to do it, a lot of real estate investors who do own rental property, they would set up an LLC. So an LLC is a limited liability company, usually either in California or Nevada, depending on the legal protections that you want and the advice of your CPA. You can choose either Nevada or California. And the LLC, what it does is the LLC then becomes the owner of your rental property. And so you're not the owner. The LLC legally is the owner. So the LLC's name is going to be on the deed as the owner of the property. So what that means is if you're doing everything right, if you're running the LLC like it's supposed to be run, so then they can't find any excuse to say that they can pierce what's called the corporate veil, which means that they can sue you personally, even though you have an LLC or a corporation, for example. They can still come after your personal assets. But one way to prevent that is to make sure you're running it like a real company. So make sure you don't commingle your assets. Make sure you're not, taking LLC money directly and giving it to, for example, Amazon to buy a couch for your house. Whatever it is, make sure that you're running it like a legitimate company. And if you do that, usually when someone sues you, as it relates to your rental property, for example, if someone gets injured, if there's a lease dispute, it's very difficult to claim your personal assets as well. So even if you have a big lawsuit and plaintiff sues you and wins, they can only take away that rental property and not your personal assets like your cash, your personal bank account, or your house. So putting in an LLC is a form of asset protection. We always recommend that in addition to doing that, or in lieu of doing that, you might consider looking at your liability insurance. So your property insurance, working with your agent to make sure that most things are covered. So if you do get sued, then the insurance company is going to cover it. So those are some considerations to think about when it comes to asset protection.
And another consideration is also being able to channel the future income stream from your rental properties to your beneficiaries. So earlier, Cindy mentioned, make sure you put your rental property and fund it into your living trust and your estate plan. And Edmund talked about the LLC and the benefits of asset protection with an LLC. So if you combine the two, where the LLC owns the property and your trust is the member of the LLC, then you can within your trust direct who's going to receive this asset. They can receive it total in whole, where they will inherit the LLC membership, and you can also direct future income. Perhaps it will go to your children, and then it will allow this income stream to continue throughout maybe multi-generation, maybe to your not only your children but their children. So it's a vehicle that we can use to allow for this income stream to be directed instead of just inheriting the property and that's it. So it's something to consider, setting up an LLC to hold the title to the real estate, and then having the LLC be owned and with the member as your living trust. Again, this has the added benefit of the liability protection in case something happens tenants within the rental property, somebody gets injured on that property, they're going to sue the LLC and not necessarily the individual owners themselves. So there has a protection and a layer there to help protect from other liabilities. So if you would like to find out a little bit more about this topic, we would love to speak with you one-on-one. We offer here at Amity Law Group a 20-minute free consultation. So we'd be happy to explore, what options are available to you and what would work best for you and your family. So feel free to reach out to us here at Amity Law Group. Thank you for watching.